So, you asked one question, or you make a statement in the book that I want to start off with, where you say, a business is a community. And tied to that is, there is no business excellence without community excellence. And you say, think about that. And I did. And I'd love to kind of get your thinking about this idea of community, which is important to our work. We spoke a little bit about it last time, but how are you thinking about that, particularly in light of what's happening today in the world?
Yeah. Well, first of all, you've made my day, because that's precisely the way that I hope the book will be looked at. Pick one that makes sense, and either, while you're daydreaming or while you're dreaming, or if you're working in an active enterprise with 2 or 3 of your colleagues, have a lunch and talk about it. So that's heaven on earth. Well, first of all, the logic doesn't require more than a 3rd grade, unless you were born with the so-called silver spoon in your mouth. You are going to spend most of your adult waking hours at work. You love your family, you adore your family, but statistically, more hours at work than any place else. And so if the work life and work world does not reflect the values that your mama and papa taught you, and so on, and there's nothing inconsistent with making money, incidentally, but we can come back to that. It's like, duh, and we live within communities, and you add up the people who work in, and one thing we also have to say is, and this is particularly true since it's coming from Canada, is, let's get over the Fortune 500 and the FTSE 100. Only 7% of the American workforce works for the Fortune 500, and the essence of economic strength, from Toronto to Quebec to Baltimore, is the small and medium-sized companies. And the joy of that for me is, I think if I get lucky, I can make a difference with a person running a 15-person company who says, oh my God, I ought to do it this way. So, God bless the people in the big companies, but they're not my focus. But so it is the community, those at the tiny business level, the 27 little shops on Main Street in the town of 2000. They're our brothers, our sisters, our fellow churchgoers, our, Sunday or Saturday pinochle players, or whatever it happens to be. So it should be as obvious as the end of your nose, and all that. Speaking a little or maybe even a lot more as an American than a Canadian, given the crap that's going on in the US, my perhaps wildly optimistic hypothesis is, if people are engaged at work and feel that they're doing something worthwhile and working with a set of colleagues, they are a lot less likely to be red meat for the radicals.
Interesting.
And I'm not a sociology major, so I may be blowing smoke, but I think that's pretty obvious. The statistics say it doesn't make a damn bit of difference whether we are in Sri Lanka, Canada, or the United States. 20% of workers are engaged. And given my math degrees, that means 80% are not engaged.